Alrighty, so awesome. Super happy that we're back here. Kind of took a little bit of a respite, so sorry about that for a little bit. But we'll go back to still doing the 1 week of teaching and then 1 week of let's chat and get back together kind of thing. So tonight I'm going to teach on the third habit. We talked a little bit about the last couple habits, but this is from Brendon Burchard's book, High Performance Habits. And then we're going to talk about the actual habit, which is raising necessity. So the first two that we talked about included seeking clarity, which is where we defined what is meaningful, described our future self, and then we worked on generating energy. And then to kind of jump back on what we talked about, it was releasing tension, bringing the joy, which is my absolute favorite, and then optimizing our health. I feel pretty good that I've been trying to do those last two ones. I don't know how great I've been at the releasing tension piece, but definitely much better at bringing the joy and trying to optimize my health. So thankfully, many of us are on those amazing Plexus supplements, which makes us feel really, really good. But I've also been working out, so that's made a big difference. So high-level necessity is actually really cool. So it's basically where your internal forces and your external forces kind of meet in the middle. So if you picture like two circles, I was going to try and give you guys a visual, but it's really too hard to do that and share and then come back. But so if you got two circles, first one is your internal forces, and in this circle are your personal standards of excellence, kind of whatever that might mean to you. So like what you hold yourself accountable to. Like if you say you always tell the truth, or I always care about others before me, or whatever your internal characteristics are and your standards of excellence, that's what you do. Like somebody who always puts the shopping cart back, that's a standard of excellence. So that is your first circle. The second circle are your external forces. So those are things like obligations from work, tasks, deadlines, other people's BS, okay? Now where those two intersect is where you're going to find your necessity. So if you can kind of picture the circle here and a circle here, and there's this little oval where they meet, right? So high performers perform at a level that's beyond passion. So as you guys, I know you guys watch a lot of those YouTube videos with motivational speakers, and all of them kind of from the outside in look like they are obsessed with what it is they are going after. But what it is they're obsessed with going after that little piece. It's where the external forces, which is where everybody's kind of coming at them with different things that need to happen and what they feel they have to do because of social obligations, yada, 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 along with what their internal obligations are for their own expectations. So how does one become a high performer and stay in balance? Now, I think the balance word is something that I'm using rather loosely here, because I don't think you can ever really truly be in balance if you want to be a high performer. That's just the way the world is, okay? So that's kind of a falsehood that people tell you, like, well, let's have work-life balance. Almost anybody who tells you that they are operating at this super, super high level, something in their life is going to be slightly out of balance. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are extreme opposites, but you're not going to be giving this one as much attention as you're giving this one, because it's kind of like being a master of all trades, or a jack of all trades and a master of none. Almost got that right there. But the truth is, you must be a dog with a bone if you want to get what it is you want, okay? So if you are not obsessed with something and obsessed with getting it, doesn't necessarily have to be something crazy like being an all-star basketball player. Doesn't even have to be obsessed with being a diamond within Plexus or obsessed with being at the top of the company. But whatever it is you want, it could be your going after your health, could be going after your weight. If you kind of do it and you try and do it in balance with other things, it's not gonna happen, okay? So you gotta be a dog with a bone to get what you want. That's how you're going to improve. That's how you're gonna grow. You can't become a master of anything unless you really dedicate excessive time at it. So the experts kind of average that it takes about 10,000 hours of practice at any one thing to become an expert. So think about an amazing orchestra and all those really, really fantastic instrumentalists. I mean, they have practiced for hours and hours and hours, okay? 10,000 hours is the average before somebody can become an expert. But it's important to remember, like we talked about it in many of our calls, you don't want to have motivated practice out of obligation, duty, or out of depression, but truly inspired action towards what it is you want. So I'll talk a little bit later more about Kobe Bryant, but I think Kobe Bryant is a really, really great example of somebody who was obsessed. If you've watched any interviews with Kobe from when he was a young kid, he talks about when he was in a summer league. I think he was around 11, maybe somewhere between 11 and 12, maybe. And so he's in this really big basketball league. Everyone else is 11 or 12-year-olds, and he doesn't score 1 point the entire summer in the league, okay? So what does he do? He comes back and he starts practicing. He's practicing and practicing and practicing. It's not because his dad was telling him to do it. It's not because anybody else was telling him to do it. He wanted to be better. He wanted to be the best. So he kept practicing. Next year he goes back, makes a few points, gets a few shots, still not the best. The summer between that second year and then his third year, Kobe became the best basketball player in the state at 14, 14. 11, 13, 14. That is just little over 2 years of an obsession to get him to that level. So when Brendon kind of talks about in his book about raising necessity, that means knowing what it is you want and pursuing it at all times. It doesn't mean I kind of want it and I'm really hoping it would happen, but I really want it. I'm going to give it my time and energy. So do you want to be joyful at all times? You do all things with joy. You want to feel happiness? Do all things with happiness. You want to project love? You do everything with love. So the big thing for me, and when I was reading this chapter, was really trying to figure out, like, how do I make my focus better, right? If I know what it is that I want, how do I raise my level of necessity to know that everything I'm doing each and every day is getting me closer to that goal? So in the chapter, he talks about 5 habits or practices that you can build and do each day to kind of ensure that you're operating at these levels. So the first one that I think is really big, and it's in that planner that I shared with you guys, it is who needs me on my A game, right? So who needs me on my A game? Is it you? You need to be on your A game? Is it your family? Is it your coworkers? Is it your boss, your friends? Who is it? And then figure out what your A game looks like then. So this practice kind of takes the focus off of you and putting all the pressure on you to kind of giving yourself a little bit of an external push by who needs you on your A game the most. I mean, if you're thinking about how do I become the best recruiter? How do I become the best scheduler? Well, who needs you on your A game? Debbie, you have military that's looking to you to make some serious things to be at your top of your game when it comes to work. Kimmy and I are in the recruiting field. So does that mean our candidates need us on our A game today? Is it our clients that need us on our A game today? Is it our colleagues that need us on our A game today? Or is it my family who needs me to be on my A game? Because gosh darn it, they need to be kick butt, and we need to make sure I've got a job at the end of all this with all this crazy pandemic stuff, right? So you got to remember the law of attraction has you acting with inspired action if you follow it, okay? This will help you focus on what's most important to you and leads you to inspired action. So one of the things that I was learning in another training I was doing outside of this that had a lot to do with law of attraction, but it kind of talked more along the lines of God giving us free will, and that everyone has what has been given to us, right? We all have this internal being that is beautiful and good and godlike, and we can either choose to continue to be that internal mechanism that was already there to begin with when we were born, or we can choose to not. So we can either be full of love or we can be loveless in many of our different actions. So this is kind of the same thing. You have a choice. You can choose to do what someone else is directing you to do that may just get you spinning a wheel like a hamster, or you can choose to do what it is you know you need to get done in order to get the outcome that you want to have happen, okay? So this isn't about your boss, your job expectations, it's about your purpose. So who needs you to show up today and give it 100%? Be honest, sometimes it's just you that needs to be on your A game, okay? And other times your family is depending on you to bring it. I know there's days where when I fill out my planner that I'm writing, okay, my boss needs me on my A game because I've got a one-on-one with her. So I need to be on my A game. I need to be bringing it to that meeting because this is the one time every week that I talk to her, right? It might be that I know I've got a couple of client meetings and my clients need me on my A game. And it might be that, you know, it's a weekend and my family needs me on my A game. And my A game to them is going to be being present and being joyful and being interactive and enjoying every moment with them. So that A game isn't always going to be the same depending on who needs you to bring it, if that makes sense, okay? So this leads into the second practice that Brendon talks about, which is really affirming your why. Now, we are all super familiar with talking about our why, right? I think almost any call I've been on where a diamond ambassador or even a jewel ambassador is talking about it, including myself, we've talked about your why. So why are we doing this? Why do we care? Why is it important that we get up every morning and do something? Okay. On this one, I'm asking you to kind of think of a different why than really what we talked about in any of those direct sale practice type thought process. So like if we're talking about plexus and we're talking about why we want to be a jewel, a lot of times we use things like, I want financial freedom. I want time freedom. Okay. These are all very vague and not really specific concepts because we've never had it, so we don't really know what that looks like. We may be able to see what someone else's looks like, but we really don't. And a lot of times I think that's where people get stopped when they're pursuing the next step or the next level. They don't see that. So they're unable to imagine it. They're unable to bring it to them. So I don't want it to be kind of that BS-y stuff that we're going to tell an upline or a friend that sounds like we found ourselves and are super enlightened. But really, why are you doing it? Okay, why are you getting up every single morning? What is it you do what you do? If it's recruiting, why are you getting up every day to recruit? Maybe it's just because you got to pay bills. Hey, it is what it is. But maybe it's because you love making a difference in people's lives. Maybe it's because you love making sure that you've helped them find that next job and that feels good. Those are different feelings than I like financial freedom because I don't have passion behind that, okay? Does that make a little bit of sense? So what you want to think about is not a fairy tale and not a fantasy of what's out there in La La Land, but what really needs to happen now and why you're doing it. So if it needs to be to pay your cable bill, then that's an accurate lie, okay? Because that's going to get you up. If you know you got to pay your cable bill, and if you don't pay your cable bill, someone's going to be really ticked, and maybe it's your husband because there's a sports event on and he's not going to be able to watch it. You want to make sure you get that cable bill paid. Number 3 on this list is leveling up your squad. And this is exactly how that sounds. So you want to get people around you that make you better. I know you guys remember when I shared with you the book, 50 Shades of They. And I always have to make sure when I say that people understand I'm not saying the book 50 Shades of Gray, but 50 Shades of They. And it's all about being yoked up with people that have a similar mindset. So this is actually known, it's actually got a term, and it's called social contagion. So people around you shape you in incredible ways, okay? It's just like the whole phrase, birds of a feather flock together. You want to play with a different flock, you're gonna need to find some new birds, okay? That means if the people around you are not operating at the level you want to be at, do not expect that you are going to get to the level you want to be at by only hanging around with them. Please understand, I'm not telling you to get rid of friends and family. I know this always comes up when people are hearing this, but this is really about, I love you, family. I love you. You're my friends. I love you. But I got goals. I got things I want to do. I got to start interacting with the people who are going to get me there. Okay? Because if you want to be, let's say you want to be a real estate agent and nobody around you is a real estate agent, how the hell do you expect to become the best real estate agent? Okay? You can only watch so much Ryan Serhant and Sell It Like Serhant from $1 Million Listing, which I love that show, by the way. And if you guys have ever watched his YouTube videos or podcast, great information. So the best way to level up that Brendon talks about is finding 2 mentors. He calls it looking for a life mentor and a domain mentor. And I know those sound kind of like weird terms, but a domain mentor is the one that's in your field. So for me, I'm in staffing. So a mentor in the staffing field would be somebody who I know is killing it in the staffing world, right? The life mentor is somebody that you know you look up to. They got strong character and really genuinely they care about you. He even says that this person could even be like your grandfather or your dad, a minister. And at certain levels, when you get up in levels of business or entrepreneurship, it might be a coach that you pay for, okay? The domain mentor is going to be someone that's going to be able to give you guidance on your specific field. And then a life mentor is going to be somebody just in general in life. And what you want to do is try and schedule time with them once a month for 1 hour, okay? So if it's somebody you're paying for, it's a coach, right? You're paying for them to be with you an hour. If it's your grandpa, if it's your dad, if it's your minister, you just ask them, would it be cool if I, chatted with you once a month? I've got some things that I'm doing and I just need somebody that I trust that I can bounce some ideas off of. I mean, most ministers would jump at that opportunity because they love to be of service. That's what they do. And that gives you a chance to kind of bounce ideas off. And then the person that is in your domain field would be somebody that's killing it in the field that you can kind of talk through some of the things that you're looking to do and how you want to get it. So if you were to look at, let's just use direct sales and Plexus. If you were to look at Plexus, it could be your upline, but it might not be your immediate upline. It might be a few people up. It could be somebody from a different team. But it's going to be someone who's going to hold you accountable and make sure that you're learning and you're progressing, right? This isn't a, let me have a phone conversation so I can chit chat with a bunch of you, because I know that was one of the biggest struggles a lot of people have when they reach dual status is all of a sudden it's like everyone thinks you've got like the golden ticket and know what to do. And everybody's coming at you and asking questions. And I know I love sharing information. But again, if I hit the ball to you and throw the ball to you and you don't take the shot, I'm not going to want to keep throwing the ball at you. So you're definitely going to want to make sure that these people, if you're wanting to operate at that high level, you're going to want to make sure that these mentors are people who are going to hold you accountable and you're going to do what it is you've shared with them you're going to do and they've asked you to do. All right. The next step in the raising necessity process is to model world class. I don't think this needs too much of a description, kind of get what you get there, right? Tony Robbins always talks about success leaves clues. And I think this is exactly what this is about. So find people that already have what you want and model it. It's super simple. It is not major rocket science on there. It is common sense, which is not always common practice, right? So you're going to want to go out and identify some traits that people have that are operating at that super level. They might not even be people you know. Okay, so if you're looking at direct sales business, I mean, you could be looking at maybe a Sarah Robbins, right? Or you could be looking at anybody in any direct sale business. I use Sarah Robbins because so many people have done her course, or could be Ray Higdon, or any number of people that you're looking at and is, what is it that they are doing that I could model and then do? Okay, so what are 5 observable traits that they do each and every day that I could do and become world-class by modeling that behavior? Could be you're trying to lose weight. And so you're going to find somebody who's already done it and now model them. Okay. So no matter what it is you're preparing to do, you want to ask yourself, how would I do this at a world-class level? Joyce Meyer used to say, and it's one of my favorite phrases. Oh, I was typing up everything I wanted to talk about to you guys. And this one, I was rereading it. And I went, bam, I got to add this. Joyce Meyer says, you can't be upset that you don't have what someone else has if you're not willing to do what they did to get it. I mean, that's like bam right there, right? So many people. How many people do you have? You've gotten to somewhere, you maybe lost weight and now they're jealous and they're throwing all the stones at you, right? Oh, well, I bet you're lucky, or I bet you're this, or she had this, or whatever. No, they didn't want to do the hard work it took to get to where you were, and now they want to knock you down, or they want to take away from your accomplishment, okay? That's the big one right there. And then the last thing is you're going to want to make a bold promise. Now, this is what's going to get that necessity to the level that's through the roof, okay? Necessity is what gets you working. It's like the why, and then you're adding all these other pieces in because you want to model it, you want to act at a world-class level, you want to operate with excellence, and now it's because you want to get to this huge promise that you're going to make to yourself. You are going to make a bold promise. This is like your big, hairy, audacious goal. You are going to set it out about 6 to 9 months, not 5 and 10 years. Not, so this isn't like, I want to be a diamond. Okay. This is not, that's not what this is. This is not the thing that we often talk about where we're like, okay, here's this huge goal I want. I'm going to tell everybody I want it. And then I'm going to work. And then, oh crap, I'm not even close. And then you give up. That's not what this is. 6 to 9 months out, big promise, tell your friends, tell your family. And then what you're going to do is work your way backwards. Okay. Rachel Hollis does this. She used this and talked about it in her last book. And she talked about where she was, gosh, wasn't trying to do a cookbook. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was she was trying. Oh, she was trying to start her business for catering. She was trying to get that catering business going. It's been a while since I've read the book, but I remember that as being a big vital piece. And what she did was she took this goal of what she wants. So I want this. Okay, so I want to have, let's just use it, or maybe it was party, I don't remember. Anyway, unimportant. Let's just say it's a goal. Okay. If I get caught up in the details, we're going to be here forever. So let's say your goal is I'm going to make this easy. I want to lose 30 pounds. Okay. And I want to be at 30 pounds. I want to have this type of energy. I want to be able to do this type of thing at the strength level and all these things that you've got listed out. That's your big, hairy goal. Okay. And you want to have that done in 6 to 9 months. Well, if you were to look 1 month back, where do you need to be? So if you want to be at 6 months losing 30 pounds, at 5 months, you should probably be over the 20 mark, right? You should probably be even at 25 pounds, okay? So, and then you kind of keep working your way back. Okay, if I want to make sure I'm at 25 pounds from 25 to 30, this is what needs to get done. This is what my diet looks like. This is what I need to do. And what that does is every time you take a step backwards, you've created a map at the end of it. And you didn't do the, let me get in the woods and then wish I had a map. You're already in the woods with your map already done, and now you know how to get out of the woods. Most people, in fact, I just watched a video today about Steve Jobs where he was talking about when he was creating some of the things with Apple, the thing that makes them different is that they go out here and say, okay, what do our people want? What do the people who trust Apple want? And how can we create it? And then they go backwards. Rather than saying, let me create the super cool interface and it can do X, Y, and Z, and then we hope that they want it. He goes out here, creates all of this amazingness, and then works his way back. Sound a little bit like maybe that Simon Sinek Why TED Talk, if you've watched that. But anyway, it kind of looks like maybe Brendon Burchard had a little bit of a influence on quite a few people. So to circle back on everything, many of the people that have gotten to the top in whatever their field is, did it being hungrier than everyone else. Okay, I'm not going to sugarcoat this and say that you can have everything in the world that you want and not have to work for it. Okay, again, let me preface that by saying it needs to be inspired action and not desperate action. Okay, the decision can come out of desperation to take action, but the action itself should not happen out of desperation, if that makes sense. Will Smith says, you may have a lot of things, but you're never going to outrun me on a treadmill. You will quit before me or I will die on that treadmill. What he was talking about is he is going to outwork anyone. That was his thought process. I will outwork you. You may have something I don't, but I will work harder than you. Kobe Bryant, just like we talked about, had that early on. Okay, they were dogs with a bone, excuse me. So they're dogs with a bone going after it. And you have to have musts that are bigger than anything else. Necessity is a must. They equate to one another. If you are doing what you feel is absolutely necessary, you won't veer from it. I started on the 16th. How long ago was it? I don't even know now how long. Maybe the 6th? April 6th, I think I started. I started doing the morning meltdown 100 workouts. I shared that with you guys on a call before. The only days that I've taken off weekends, and then I took off the first weekend, I only took off Easter Sunday. So I've only had 5 days off. Every morning at 5 a.m., I get up, I feed my cats because if I don't, they'll drive me crazy. And then I jump into my workout. It does not fail. Like, I don't even think about it. There was a time when I would think about it, where I would say to myself, I really don't feel like waking up. No. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you, Mel Robbins. Jump out of bed and I'm there. Tony Robbins says we will always get our musts, but we never get our shoulds. I should go to the gym. I should eat better. I should drink more water. I should take my Plexus. I should make that phone call. I should follow up. None of that's going to get you anywhere. You're going to should all over yourself, right? But a must will happen. I must make 10 calls today. I must get to the gym. I must drink my water. I must eat healthy. I must meal plan. Those are all huge, huge ways to get you back on track for what it is you need. So that was a lot. I got a wink from Kimmy. Next week, we'll go back to our chit chats, but we're almost done. I didn't realize it was going to be a 30-minute thing that I had put together, but anything you guys want to talk about before we have to jump off? Anything exciting going on? No, we all just hanging in there and making it work and hoping that we make it through all this craziness. Everyone getting a little excited that it sounds like there might be a light at the end of this tunnel of this stay-at-home crap, because I'm sure like ready to get back to work. I'm telling you. I know Debbie's just like, I'm at work all the time.
How do you know that you're supposed to go back to the office? Like, what's going to be the...
Well, there's a plan, of course, from governor, and then each county is going to be operating differently. So my guess is Orange County, which is where most of us live, is going to be happening before LA County, before like some of the counties up in like Alameda and some of the counties in Northern California. But it'll be in process, from what I'm understanding. It's going to be like the non-essential businesses that are going to open are the ones that don't have a lot of people contact, manufacturing environments. We've already set it up so that they're giving us new computers, and we're getting new cameras so we can interview all the time, even light industrial candidates, which we've been doing already over the internet. Thank God for FaceTime, Skype, and all these other wonderful tools that we have. And we'll just be in the office, but I'll have 2 people on one side of the room and then 1 on the way other side, and then me in my little office. So, you know, hopefully, I'm hoping sooner rather than later. Our CEO was on a call yesterday, and the chairman of the board. You can tell the chairman of the board's like, I mean, he's the son of the original owner that started Nelson. So he's like, we're done with this. We're done. And it's like, let's move on. And I know the problem is, you know, it's horrible, because it's like, you're still going to have deaths, but, you know, sadly, so did SARS, so did H1N1. You know, I mean, we can't not have viruses. They're going to be around our entire lives, and they're going to keep morphing as we all take new antibiotics and or eat weird animals at a outside market or whatever weird thing they're claiming caused the Wuhan thing. But you know, I mean, it's just a matter of the sooner we can get back to work, I think the better. It's starting to take a toll, I see, on a lot of different levels. You know, it started out where it sounded like a really good idea, but I don't think the people who were making the decisions were in the thick of it. And it's real easy to make decisions based on numbers and reports and what people give you, and not necessarily what it's out there like. I don't think people understood. I mean, I think they thought through the unemployment piece. I mean, this is just me kind of sharing my thoughts. I think they thought through the unemployment piece and kind of that ripple effect, but I don't think anybody really thought about how it was going to affect meat manufacturers and farmers, and how this is just kind of trickling down to so many different areas that they're like, oh, well, we'll keep food manufacturing open. Well, there's only so many things that are buying food, and a lot of the things that they were selling food to were restaurants who are not having nearly as much as they would like. So anyway, I know that was kind of a long roundabout answer, but hopefully soon. Alrighty, ladies. Well, I'm going to let you guys go. It's already 7 o'clock, and now I get to go call and talk about COVID-19. Super excited. Think happy thoughts for me. Thanks, guys. I'll see you guys next week, and next week we'll just chit chat and have a good time. All right.
Okay.
I'll see you guys all next week.
Bye,
Bye,
girls.
ladies.
Bye.
Good night.